Hey, what's up, guys? It's been a little bit, huh? I think we're overdue for a Bad Hombre update and to knock out a few of these projects on here and get back on the groove of fixing this thing, cruising it, and showing you guys some videos. Follow along. Let's knock out a few things on the old Model A. First things first, I owe you guys an update. I've been driving the car. I put about, probably 500 miles on it. I'm trying to look at my odometer in there. I put about 500 miles on the car, just cruising here around town where I live. I haven't taken it on any real long road trips, but I have driven it. My daughter and I went on about a 3 or 4 hour drive one day in town, just cruising. And the car's been doing great. Give you guys some updates. The whole fan shroud I put on there works really good. The car stays cool, 190 degrees all the time. Of course, today's about the hottest day we've had this year, and it's like, I don't know, it's like 82 degrees or something, so it hasn't been too hot. I got new shocks for the front. If you guys remember before, my shocks were bottoming out. They were too long, and these, I did a little searching around, and I think on the Ham website, and found these are like from like a 1950 Buick or something. And you know, they have these little dust covers on them, but whatever, they work. They're the right size, they compress, they extend, they don't even get close to bottoming out, so they work pretty good. I'm pretty stoked about how they're working out for the car. Let's see, other updates I did. Probably one of the biggest changes I made was my rear shocks, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. I know this is about the most street roddy thing on the car, but there is a brand new set of QA1 coilovers on the car. And I know you guys might be thinking, oh, that kind of sucks. And yeah, I mean, maybe it does. It's not period correct or anything. But man, do they ride smooth. And I had to buy them because the first time I went to drive this car to work, I was cruising down the on-ramp to get onto I-25. I hit a bump and my left rear shock ejected itself. The top part came off. The spring ejected and it just bottomed out on the axle. It wasn't too big of a deal because my brake line's out of the way. The body just sat on the axle there. So I was able to pull off, investigate what's going on, search for parts, and the only part I couldn't find was a little hat that goes on top of the spring. So that thing's kind of junk. Anyway, I hunted around, got home, looked at my stash of money and said, I need good shocks. I can't have this stuff flying apart. So I bought those QA ones, and they're really nice. They're super adjustable. I get my ride height set exactly how I want. They have like I don't know, a whole bunch of adjustments on how stiffness with just the twist of a knob, and they seem to work pretty good. Let's walk through our list here of other things. If you guys remember the old list, and see how we're doing. Insulation. I'm not going to put insulation in the thing anytime soon. My rear window's in, yep. The same thing with door handles and window mechanisms. I'm not going to worry about windows or glass anytime soon, but I will get to door handles eventually. Front shocks, yeah, those are good. Carpet will happen sometime with insulation. I'm not going to stress over that either. I've been working on removing the paint. Let me see here, hang on. Yeah, I think we showed you all these other things we did. I've been working on removing the paint on this thing. The paint is right in this groove like this. As you can see down here, there's still some. And kind of right along the detail points, you can still see that brown primer in there. So I've been working on getting to that, but it's kind of a pain. I have to use my little die grinder with a wire wheel. So we'll continue to work on that. I am going to make some door panels, do a little bead rolling. I learned how to bead roll. That's a pretty cool ability. Trim off excess, yeah, roof bolts, I did that. Carb tune. I got to tell you guys, and rear shocks, yeah, got those done. Somewhere in there I changed oil. I don't know if that's on a previous video or not either. But I got to tell you guys, this car, I'm sure there was critics. You guys have been very encouraging, but I'm sure there's been skeptics at least. These are 600 CFM carburetors, 2 of them, and they're giants, right? Way too much carburetor for this engine. It's just a 350. It's got good heads and, you know, a little more than stock cam, but yeah, I mean, that's like more carb. I mean, a big block would use that much carb probably. Anyway, I can't complain because this runs really good. Like, fires off every single time, hot or cold. runs smooth, idles in traffic. It doesn't have any dead spots. I was able to tune it all out. You know, I was used a little bit of creativity and patience, and I found the right springs for my metering rods. And man, the car runs great. So there's the update on it. I'm sure I'm gonna come up with more stuff to add, but the biggest thing I have to do right now is get down here and fix this. Let me get a light, and I'm gonna show you guys exactly what I'm talking about here. My rear axle, and I did the same stupid thing on my Nova. I relocated my vent. Okay, and yeah, the astute viewer will notice all the oil everywhere on this thing. But the vent tube used to be located over here on the side somewhere. Anyway, it was in the way for my 4-link bracket. So when I had the rear end out and was building that, I moved it. I drilled a hole over there. And I did the same thing in my Nova. I have the same kind of problem. I came up with a different solution for it for now, but here's the issue. If you guys ever look, I'll try to put a little link up at the top or in the description to Gail Banks' research on rear diff covers specifically. He has like some clear plastic covers he runs on there, and you get to see when the ring gear's spinning and the car's running, where the oil just walks up this side. I mean, both sides of the housing. Anyway, it's apparently just in the right spot that it likes to sling oil everywhere. So, you know, I drive this thing around. I've been cruising it a lot, and it leaks oil all over my rear diff, right out that stupid little vent hose. So I'm gonna work on that. I believe I'm gonna jack up the car, get in here to access it, and I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna move it like out here on the axle tube area where it's not gonna have the oil work its way out of it. So bear with me, jack up the car, probably unhook the shocks, drop the rear axle down as low as I can get it to access it. Here we go. All right, guys, got the tires off, shocks loose, rear axle hanging. Here's what we're dealing with. Yeah, I tried to put a PCV valve on there to keep it from maybe slobbering so much oil out. It didn't work. Well, I have, I think, an 1/8" pipe plug, because that's what the threads are on that I can just get that out and put the pipe plug on there if I don't want to weld it up right now. And then I just got to come down here, and about right here I think I'll come in. As long as I don't get into the axle with it, which I don't think I will. I'll measure and trim and all that good stuff. Then that'll work. Yeah, so I'm going to get after it, pull the hose off, clean it up. Actually, I'm going to try to clean this up. I got some brake clean and some rags. It's nasty. I can't stand the oil. I'll take that hose off and try to pull that fitting out of there. And then we'll do a little figuring, but I'm going to have to drill a hole without getting any shards of metal down in there. And we'll go from there. Here goes nothing. Okay, that was pretty easy. Here's the fitting for the breather tube. It has that long piece on there, and it just has a little tiny hole in it, which kind of surprises me that it can make this much of a mess. Anyway, it came out of the hole up here, and I'm going to go for something like about right there, which, depending on how far down this goes into the axle tube, well, I know exactly how far down. It's going to go that far down. Depending on where the axle is, might have to trim it up. So, I've got to get my drill and my, we'll get the tap so we can tap that thing out. And I need to find a plug for that hole there. So, alright, I'll get busy doing that, and then I'll turn on the time lapse so you guys can watch me struggle trying to drill a hole through there. Oh, and I plan on just getting, I'll just dip my drill bits in grease first, so that when I drill these holes, they don't just, you know, the junk doesn't go down in the hole, trap it in the grease. So you'll see all that stuff here in a minute. Okay, so update time. This guy that came out of here, that's not 1/8" pipe thread. I don't know what kind of threads they are. I went through all my dies and compared it and stuff. I couldn't figure it out, but no big deal. We're just going to stuff this guy in there. That should be a pretty good breather. And I do have the tap for it. So, and the drill bits. So let's go down there and drill some holes. That should be pretty easy. Check my fitting, it screws in there real nice. This should be good. I think I even preserved a lot of the metal shavings that would have normally fallen down in there, and had a big glob of them that came out with that. So pretty happy with how that turned out. I just got to Teflon tape this thing and I'll screw it in there. I thought that grease, as I was putting it on there, I don't know if you guys have ever seen a funny little grease dispenser like this. I got this actually in Okinawa. And it's funny because we had a bicycle. It was a princess bike that my two daughters, my older kids, both rode and handed it down, passed from one to the other. And then when it was time to pass it to my son, obviously we weren't having that. So while we were over there, and he grew into that bike, we tore it down, painted it flat black, neon green, got some Gravedigger stickers and made it a Gravedigger bike instead of princess bike. It came out pretty cool. But in the process, I realized I needed to put some grease on the wheel bearings in that thing. And apparently grease does not translate to Japanese. It's something else, but Google Translate, and anyway, it was no help. I wandered around like 4 different hardware stores, poking in all the corners until I found this goofy little dispenser. So there you go. Bonus story in and amongst everything else. I'm going to screw this fitting in, and then I'm going to figure out a way to address that other hole. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to address it with my MIG welder. Just a matter of getting some light up in there and clearing my brake line out of the way, so that I don't ever have to think about one more thing leaking on that thing. So, because obviously it gets a lot of gear oil sloshed up in that spot. So I'm going to stuff this fitting in, crank her down, and then probably do a little welding on that thing, and we'll wrap this project up. Okay, there you go. Got my cute little fitting in there. Put a little curly Q on my hose. Hopefully trap anything from going inside there. I need to find myself a little filter or something to put on the end, mainly just so that I don't get mud daubers or some kind of bug trying to make a thing in there. I welded up my hole in the top. I even hit it with a little grinder, smoothed it off. I just need to squirt a little paint on there when I get some more of that black roll bar chassis paint. Anyway, I think that's done. I'm going to go ahead and lift her back up, throw my wheels and tires on, and then I think we got to take her for a ride. Alrighty guys, she's all buttoned up. I'm going to torque some lug nuts, and then I think I'm going to load some kids in it. We're going to take a little drive. Probably go down to the parts store and search for parts for the next oil leak, which is my transmission where the speedometer cable goes in. Hey, if you want to see how that one turns out, make sure you click subscribe and watch one of these videos. It's going to pop up on your screen pretty soon. Alright, thanks for watching. See you next time.